Hello, and welcome to American Heron Wargaming. This is about a report from a game of Modulorka I played with one of my coworkers. We had already played a pair of games before, and have found that the 40-point forces were a bit too large to let us get a game in with limits of lunchtime, so decided to try out a smaller 30-point match. I was bringing some of my new boys from the Goldun Oarde. I had a horde boss with a jump pack, bazooka pistol, and buzzsword, a normal lad with a jump pack, pistol, and bludgeon, one more lad with a flamea, and then one more lad with just a rifle. With 2 points left, I tossed in a horde gob with a rifle. My opponent brought their Speed Kultists as usual, a speed boss, and 3 dirt Bikaz. However, they were a bit stripped down on gear from the 40-point version. For our objectives, the primary one was grab to loot. All those victory points on the board are items which can be grabbed and held onto. The secondary mission was assassination. I randomly got assigned to be the defender for that mission, and decided to mark the Jetpack lad as the target. I figured that my boss would be more in the mix and thus an easier target. We got set up, my opponent's bikes hiding in cover, and my lads mostly out in the open because the bikes had no ranged weapons. Then we got underway. Since the bikes all have the rash keyword, they all got to go first, even when I had the initiative. They scooped up most of the points on their side of the board, stayed in cover, and then braced for impact. My horde boss dramatically jetpacked up to the top of a ruined building and shot one of the Bikaz off his dirt bike with a rocket from the bazooka pistol. The rest of the turn was fairly straightforward. The lads moved up, grabbed the closest victory point and tried to take some shots, but missed. The flamea lad went on to overwatch as his flamea didn't have range for a shot. The jump pack lad got his victory point, but I made a critical error with him. I misread the card for the jump pack and thought that you get pinned after every time you use it, but that's not the case. It's only when you under or overshoot your target. This will become relevant later. To start off turn 2, the bike with a flamea screams up and hoses down the jetpack lad with the fire. The other Bikaz play coy and stay in cover after collecting the remaining victory points on their side of the board. Realizing that extinguishing the fire or shooting would end the turn of the jetpack lad, I decided to play aggressively and have him take a shot at the flamea Bikaz and not put out the flames. If he drops that one, then none of the melee bikers can hurt him up there, and he can ride out the rest of the game in safety. Of course, he fails his shot, which basically dooms him. My flamea lad walks up and sets the Bikaz alight, which will knock him off his bike when he takes the next point of fire damage, but will let him get another turn in. Between the boss, rifle lad, and rifle gob, I eventually take out the biker who was already downed, but the boss and other Bikaz were able to avoid taking shots for another turn. At the end of turn 2, our event is... nothing happens. Third game in a row. Oh well. To kick off turn 3, the other Bikaz decides to pounce, becomes just shy of being able to attack my flamea lad with only one movement action, so he peels off with the second one to be ready for next turn. The Bikaz that was on fire gets knocked off his bike, but moves up and puts another burst of fire onto the jetpack lad, meaning that he'll go down from the unextinguished fire on his next turn. Turnabout is fair play though, and my flamea lad pops around the corner and burns the flamea forma Bikaz to a crisp. We thought that after dismounting that they are feeble, and thus are out automatically. However, they're actually fragile, and they get to stay down but not out on a 4+ roll. Whoops. My rifle lad and gob take shots at the now exposed Bikaz, but can't land a hit. With his bazooka pistol needing reloading to fire, my boss does just that. Critically here, he spends his other action to unpin, which he shouldn't have needed to do because his jetpack move was fine. So instead of unpinning and reloading, he could have moved and clobbered all he wanted. But now we know this rule better for next time. That closed out turn 3. Turn 4 began with my opponent realizing that the melee-only Bikaz actually had a Molotov he could huck. So he centered it just so that it hit my down jetpack lad, knocking him out, and also hitting my flamea lad as well. We weren't so sure about this one because the area of effect rules don't mention anything about height differences, but it was a Molotov, so that seemed reasonable. My flamea lad decided not to extinguish the flames either, since this was the last turn, but moved to claim the victory point the other Bikaz had dropped and then turned his flamea onto the remaining Bikaz. Then my boss tried to jetpack down and engage the enemy boss, but rolled a 6 for the jetpack, which is an overshoot. In a rage, he shot the last dirt bike off his bike, even though that didn't do anything in the end. The rifle lad and rifle gob continued to be ineffectual, so that was the end of turn 4. To wrap it up, I had collected 5 victory points from the ground, and my opponent had 4 sitting with their boss. However, for killing my jetpack lad, they scored 3 more from the assassination secondary mission, and won the game. We're 3 games in now, and still learning the rules a bit, but this 30-point game was definitely a bit snappier than the other ones we'd done. It probably also helped that I wasn't running an 11 model Goblin Horde this time either. That's it for now. Take care out there.